All right, Fresh, let's head out to the bluegrass state and the University of Florida, the Gators, pulling themselves off the mat after that disappointing loss out at Utah, and they're traveling up to the undefeated Kentucky Wildcats. Kentucky is 4-0, and Florida is the team that's ranked in the AP. I don't understand that one. They're 3-1 right now. Right now, at time of record, Kentucky is down to a 1-point favorite. They opened up at a 3-point favorite. They're down to 1 point. Over-under is down to 44 points at time of record. Fresh, we know how I feel about Graham Mertz-led teams, so I'll turn it over to you.
I mean, there's really no point in us even having this conversation right now, Seth, because Coach Stoops already told the world how to beat Florida in his weekly press conference. He said the secret to beating Florida is to wake up early and to drink a bunch of beers. And if that's what it takes to get your fans fired up and to get your team ready to go and put that in, that's play number one. That's the blue book. That's the playbook there. I'm all about it. Wake up early, folks, and drink beers in Lexington and go beat the Gators. But unfortunately, there's probably a little more to that than just the simple imbibing of the beverages. Florida's defense has looked a lot better since that Salt Lake City opener where Utah's second and third string quarterback and everybody else decided to run wide open, all over the place. They have improved a lot, but there's still some holes there that they need to figure out. They're allowing 245 a game total, 162 in the air and 82 on the ground. That breaks down to basically 4.66 yards a play. And in retrospect, Kentucky's giving up 4.39 yards per play. So they have some big plays in front of them, but actually those are two of some of the better in the SEC right now in terms of defensively, defensive perspective. I am worried about their offense, though. You mentioned Graham Mertz, but it goes a little deeper than Graham Mertz. You settled for 5 field goals versus Charlotte. Not the Carolina Panthers who play in Charlotte, the Charlotte 49ers. The dude walked in with cut off sleeves and a workout shorts, and he was the head coach, and you kicked 5 field goals for Charlotte. There are issues in the red zone. You're not tough enough. It still blows my mind that you were able to beat Tennessee. I think there's just some voodoo around that game because that same team did not show up on Saturday night to play as effectively as they did the week before. The running game was okay. Etienne and Johnson, nothing spectacular against Charlotte. Graham Mertz was okay. Nothing spectacular. The offensive line was okay. The defense did what they had to do, but the 5 field goals in the red zone, that bothers me when you're playing a much better defensive team coming up in Kentucky. How's the team going to be able to get the field goal opportunities if you're only getting that far and you're only having to use your kicker? You've got to find ways to score touchdowns versus a bad team. Your offense isn't elite right now as it is, and you're wasting opportunities. So that's a big thing on my mind right now that I want to see on Saturday afternoon up in Lexington at Kroger Field. How does this Gator offense focus? Where does Graham Mertz have it put on the shoulders? He has to throw to win. Can Pearsall make more crazy one-handed catches to keep him in the football game? I mean, that was one that was absolutely amazing. I don't know if he could do that again. I don't think anybody else could. But he's going to have to come alive and have a big game for the Gators in the passing attack to help offset and take the pressure of Etienne and Johnson and Mertz. Is that offensive line? I don't think Tennessee's defense is that great, but Kentucky's defense is a lot better. And they're going to make him pay if he's sitting back there behind center long enough. How are they going to protect the quarterback? How are they going to balance the offense? Billy Napier, your clock management has been trash. It's been trash since you showed up. How do you dictate that and make yourself better in this football game? If not, you're holding your entire team back if you cannot fix your own problems of game management and clock management. That is on you. How are you going to call your plays to keep your quarterback upright and to keep your team in the football game? Your defense can't do it all. Your defense can't save you. You don't have the 2021 Georgia defense who has all the NFL starters on it. You've got to be able to score some points and have some balance to protect that defense. Because eventually when you get through SEC play, they're going to get worn down, especially versus Kentucky. They're a very physical football team. Funny enough, these teams are actually very similar. They both have the transfer quarterback. They both have offensive lines that are trying to be physical. I think Kentucky is much more than in Florida. Their defenses are very fast. They're very aggressive. But when it comes down to it, coaching is coaching. And Mark Stoops is a much better coach than Billy Napier. How could Billy Napier coach up to Stoops' level? And could he actually try to outsmart Mark Stoops while he's on the road? That's what I want to see from Billy Napier because it's not that hard to outcoach Josh Heupel. He's an offensive guy, and he's a great offensive mind, but your defensive efforts on their side sort of flip it around. I want to see you outcoach Mark Stoops. That's going to be something that's really telling me you've actually gotten past the I'm bubble screen Billy, and I don't know what I'm doing. If you actually make that, you'll definitely show you've improved. Devin Leary, this is a game you were brought to Kentucky for. You've thrown 5 interceptions so far this season, which kind of has me worried. Where are you trying to build in? Have you not gotten Liam Cohen's offense yet? Have you sort of struggled there? Those 5 interceptions in 4 games has me kind of scared that you're trying to force the ball too much and trying to do a little bit too much. And you're doing that against a lesser opponents. You start getting into conference play. How is that going to withstand? Are you going to be able to keep the offense going or survive those mistakes in bigger games and bigger moments? I want to know about that. On the other side, is Tavion Robinson becoming is Tavion Robinson becoming what Wan'Dale Robinson was for Will Levis 2 years ago when Liam Cohen was there? If he can be the big receiver to help out Leary, they have something there because they do have a solid running attack and a good offensive line. If they can get that offense clicking, they're in good spots. Ray Davis, the running back, is what I just mentioned there. Transfers in from Vanderbilt, tore it up, started at Temple, went to Vandy. He is the lead back. He's a big dude. He can run downhill with a lot of power. It's going to be fun to see the 2 quarterbacks and how they match up, but also how Davis and Etienne go head-to-head. Obviously, they don't play against each other on the field, but what are they going to see? All right, I see you did that. Now it's my turn to go step it up. Where do these 2 teams offensively and those playmakers, do they try to actually take their game to a different level to show up the other guy across the sideline? That's going to be something pretty cool to watch because these teams, there's some talent on the field. Who's going to show up on Saturday to get it done? The Cats have won 2 straight in this series, in the series, in 3 of the last 5. Now, going back in the day, Kentucky had no success for Florida. So this run right now is pretty unprecedented for the Wildcats and what Stoops has done, taking out Florida and actually turning the tide in the whole rivalry. Bubble Screen Billy, he's 1-4 on the road as a Gator, and 1-6 outside the swamp if you include the cocktail party and the bowl game in Las Vegas last year. They have never allowed 30-plus points they've allowed 30-plus points in 5 of those 6 games, and at least 24 in every game on the road. It means this team does not travel on the road very well. They're not bringing discipline. They're not focused. They're getting pounded when they go up, when they leave Ben Hill Griffin. Can they turn the tide in this trend? Can they actually show up on the road for once under Billy Napier's watch and play defense and win a football game? There's a lot going against them right now. The last 3 matchups have all been under 46 points. I think that happens again on Saturday. I think it's a low-scoring, slobber-knocker affair. People are going to be fighting for yards. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be nasty. Kentucky wins. I had them covering the 3. If it's down to 1, I have them definitely covering the 1. Kentucky will win in a very slow, ugly football game, 20-10, 24-13, something like that. But it will not hit the over. It will be ugly and mucked up, a lot of turnovers, but Kentucky will find a way to win in the end.
Fresh, it comes down to what type of game plan Bubble Screen Billy does for against Kentucky here. If he's going to put this game in Mertz's hands, we know how that's going to end. It's not going to end well, especially when Mertz faces a guy who's a solid defensive coach and Coach Stoops, and has the ability to really put some pressure on Graham Mertz. If they kind of limit how much Mertz throws the football, I'm talking like about 22, 24 pass attempts throughout the year or throughout the game, and you run Etienne and Johnson for 35, 40 touches between the 2 of them, you got a real good shot at this game. Etienne has been very impressive. Johnson, yeah, he's had his moments, but I really do like Etienne a lot. He runs the ball hard, and I really think that he's got something special. He's got a little bit more speed in my mind, and he's got that little big play breakaway ability there. That could be huge. I could see Etienne busting 2 or 3 long runs in this football game. He does that, he's going to put a lot of pressure on Kentucky. Reverse for me, though, Kentucky, Devin Leary is coming off that major knee injury last year. He's still just about a year removed from that injury. I think he's coming back. He's getting used to this offense because, remember, he wouldn't have had spring football. He would have just had fall camp, getting used to this offense. Like you said, the 9-5, he's had an interception in every single game this year. But I think that he's starting to see that he's leaning on Ray Davis as much as he is. Ray Davis was fantastic. He's picked up and actually exceeded his pace where he was last year. So if you go back and look at what Ray Davis was doing in 22, He's doing an even better job here in 23. But it's really the Kentucky defense that I think is going to give some problems. It's the same thing we saw in the Utah game when Graham Mertz started to face that pressure, starting to hurry his throws, and then all of a sudden Billy Napier calls bubble screen after bubble screen after bubble screen just to get the ball out quickly, get it out into space, and try to let one of your playmakers make that big-time play. If Trevin Wallace has got 3.5 sacks, if he can get after them, I would not be shocked to see Maxwell Harrison pick up his 4th interception on the year. He's got 3 picks on the year. He's taken 2 to the house already. The real question is, does UF believe Graham Mertz needs to win them this game? If they do, they're in for a rude awakening. Because I'm not trusting Graham Mertz. I'm trusting the 2 running backs beside him and letting him be a game manager. It's okay to be a game manager. I know it's an offensive term apparently to a lot of other people out there. But if you can manage the football game and let your running game and you make the right throw when the time is necessary for you to make that throw, then fine, you're going to wind up winning this football game. But right now, I got Kentucky winning this. I still don't trust Florida. I think Florida's still overrated. I like the Kentucky, especially at 1 point right now. That's Vegas telling us that they think Florida's the better team because Kentucky's got that a couple extra point home field advantage built in there. I'm also taking the under here, Fresh. I don't think they're getting to 46 points.
I mean, it's every time you watch these games in the past 5 or 6 years, it is very ugly. It is old school. They hit, they run the ball. That's why it's actually good it's a noon game because if it was a 7 o'clock game, you'd probably be asleep because it would just be so slow paced. But you know what? Sometimes we need those defensive games where people just get after it and they hit people. Because sometimes in the game right now where everything is so wide open and so many points and just tackling is terrible, you kind of like to see teams that can hit. That's what football is in the end. So excited to see that. And also, in wrap up, will Kentucky look ahead to Georgia next week and not take Florida seriously? Keep that in the back of your mind.